Danes s bendom nastopa na roku Otočec. Ja, naj se predstavim, jaz sem Igor Ivanič, pač predstavljam zelo multimedia, ki je cenični zastopnik multinacionalke Universal, torej moram poskrbeti tudi za stike z mediji glede Henrija. Njegovo zgodovino poznate, časa nimam preveč 15-20 minut. Lepo bi vas prosil, če so vprašanja kratka in če si jih seveda nekako približno porazdelite tisti, ki bi pač želeli spraševati. Prosim tudi, da ne govorite en čez drugega in prosim, če ste kolikor toliko tiho, da se pač da slišati to, kar govori, ker pač sem povedal, rad bi pač pošparil oziroma prihranil malo glasu za koncert. Prosim, če koliko vprašanje.
You had a concert in Slovenia already.
I played there a couple of times over the years.
So, just a short question, memories of these concerts?
I think it was the show, we played here in 1987. And I think that time we had these very, very old security guys in front of the stage, these old men, these fat old guys who had no idea what was going to happen at the show. And in the first song, everyone kind of flew at the stage, and these old guys didn't know what to do, and they were trying to calm everyone down because they thought everyone was going to start a riot or something. Where it was actually just a typical night at the office, and we had to tell them to go away, and they were very angry at me because they couldn't move. And they had their silly uniforms on, and they were really pissed off that some young guys didn't get at them. But after that, we had a really good time, and that's my initial memory.
The listeners were receptive to the public?
Yeah. I've always had a good time out in this part of the world. I've always found audiences to be very open-minded and very friendly. You know, I don't think you can really generalize. You know, like, oh, this part of Europe is this and this part of Europe. But in the eastern part of Europe, like Hungary and Poland, Russia, places I've played sometimes many times, I've always found the audiences to be really cool and really friendly. Where and sometimes not always that reaction is true in other countries. You know? So, thank you.
May I ask something about the new album? I read some critics and they said this is not like the Henry Rollins, you know him years ago. This is a new Henry Rollins, a new band. How is your comment on that?
Well, first off, I've never really cared about anything any critic has ever had to say about me, good or bad. Good review, I don't like critics. Bad review, I don't like critics. Critics are those who make their money off the work of more inspired people like myself. And so, but you know, if you're one and you think you're doing a good job, more power to you. I did not read any reviews for this record. I was told by the press people that critics were very nice to me this time, which is nice, I guess. I'm playing with a new group of guys who I've been friends with for many years. And like any new meeting of people, it's very exciting in the beginning. And they're very good guys, and we all seem to be on the same page musically. And so it's been very enjoyable and very energetic. And so it's been fun, yeah. New, I don't know, you know, we're playing old music, we're playing rock and roll, but we're having a damn good time doing it. Bravo.
I have a question. Your poetry and your lyrics, they're really not the same thing. Have you ever thought of doing your poems in more of in music?
Nah, I just write, you know. If I ever considered myself a musician or a writer, I think that would be the end, you know. I just kind of go for it, and the reason I put out so many books, I own the company. I sleep with the owner of the book company every night. I'm right in at the top, so I can do whatever I want. I can put my daily lunch menu between the covers of a book and put it out. This is my company. I just try and express myself with writing and with music, and it just comes out like it comes out. There's not a whole lot of concept behind it, besides be honest, you know, say what you mean, mean what you say.
So you create, you write and make music in a different way.
Yeah, I just kind of do it.
some of the things that you write that end up in books, like poetry or spoken word things that you do? And you know, what's the process that relates to them ending in records as lyrics that you sing?
Well, I think
If that's not too...
Well, I think some ideas lend themselves better to a musical format. If you're going to tell an hour-long story about someone, a tribute to them, that might not be the best thing for a song, although there might be a sentiment in that story that might make for a really great lyric. I tend to work in a very compact, high-impact way, word-wise, for a song lyric. Because, you know, in the kind of format in which we play, the classic verse, chorus, pop format, I want the words to have a pretty big bang, you know, because you're not going to get many of them on that tight little page. And so I go for heavy impact, like a car wreck, not like a tap on the shoulder. Although, the tap on the shoulder is good too. I'm just not good at it. Nat King Cole, I am not. But a lot of times, I just do writing, and I don't know how it's going to turn out, or don't know where the appropriate place is for it to end up. I wouldn't want to think too much about it. But that's why I like the talking shows, because that stuff would be really too boring to write down. It's way more fun to tell the story than to write a 50,000 word version of something I could just say in 45 minutes. And, you know, have fun and give it life and do all the voices of all the people in the story, rather than describe his craggy visage looked at upon, adoring, whatever.
What slipped it in was that type of song, from the black background.
I didn't write
I think
it.
a story. You didn't write it?
Greg wrote it.
Oh yeah, the same. But it's the same type of drama that is created with describing the thing.
I guess. I'd be very hard pressed to actually remember the lyrics of that song.
Never mind.
Can I, Henry, turn back for a while? Do you ever miss the early 80s Black Flag in this situation then? How you differ, for instance, these 2 decades, things from the 80s?
I don't really give myself the luxury of missing that which is gone, really, because that's kind of a hollow. What's that about? I don't really give myself that kind of because it's kind of a hollow regret. You know, I regret that some people I know are dead. You know, but I do sometimes miss the simplicity of those times. You know, I had no money, not really any prospects. I was living in this far from school. And there's nothing you could take away from me. The tax man could come and take everything I owned. It would have been 50 records, 20 bad cassettes, my stepfather's Earth shoes he gave me, and like 4 t-shirts. You could fit it all in a garbage bag, and that would have been my worldly possessions. Now, I pay taxes. I got car payments. I got house payments, and all the problems that come with all that stuff. And it's cool, but it's more complicated. And sometimes I miss those days when you know, I had 3 books and a notebook, and I wasn't limping through airports carrying a laptop.
I'm sorry, to pay taxes, this is a Christian doctrine.
Whatever, you know, I gotta pay. I didn't pay taxes for about 8 years once, and the IRS wrote me a letter. They said, "Dear Henry, what's going on?" And I wrote them back a handwritten letter. I said, "You know what? I'm borrowing money from my mother. I'm living on people's couches. I'm in shit, basically. So you can have whatever you can get off me, but until I'm making some dough, I have nothing to give you. And you can stick that up your ass if you don't like it." And I sent that back, and they wrote me back a letter that said, "That's cool. That's all we need to know. Let us know when you're, you know, out of hock to your mother." And when I did.
Do you consider rich yourself? I mean, materialistic.
Am I rich? Not really. I got a house, I got a used car. But rich? I don't know. I know where my next meal's coming from. You know, I got money in the bank. I'm not a millionaire.
this simplicity that you tell us about right now, kind of background reason why you made such a strip to the bone rock and roll record, which is more in the vein of Stooges and MC5 sound, and not so much in the sound that you've done during the 90s?
Well, I don't think we've ever done any records that were very overproduced. But the new album is definitely a very straight ahead, very traditional 4/4 rock record when compared to previous records where, you know, there's a lot more of an avant feel to it. I really wanted to make a very direct, very exciting record that had a beauty and a simplicity of like a nice punch in the nose. You know, it was like bam. And that's why I worked with those guys, you know, who were in the band, and we wrote that music. And that's why I produced it, because I knew exactly what I wanted to hear. I didn't want to plead my case to a producer who was going to talk to an engineer and water down the idea. So I do not consider myself God's gift to music production, but on that case, I was the man for the job. And when I hear the record back, I say, yes, that's exactly what I wanted. And when I hear it, I think it's good.
Because I think also, as you said in the very beginning, these kind of records we are missing today.
I think so. I think definitely in contemporary rock music, the production is so overwhelming. Yeah. And when you can hear the computer in the music, when you can hear the guy's drums being moved around because he doesn't know how to play them, and the singer being pitched because he can't sing, I think we all lose. Personally, I like to hear the mistakes. You know, there's mistakes on every Led Zeppelin record. There's mistakes on all the Black Sabbath records. The first Joy Division record, one of my favorites, is rife with mistakes. You hear a new one every time you play it. You go, oh, you know, it's great. Van Halen records, tons of mistakes. These are all, you know, some great stuff. You know, the Rolling Stones, I'm sure, you know, blow out here and there. Not Charlie Watts, but the rest of it. And to leave that in, unless it's some glaring, huge, honking error, I think is kind of cool. You know, because we're human, we err, you know, and so when you hear, you know, Patsy Cline's voice crack a little, it gives more of the feeling of emotion, you know, where you hear these hard rock albums these days of what's supposed to be the big deal, you know, whatever. Yeah. They sound so perfect. It almost sounds like it's so sanitized and so square and metric. It sounds like an accountant made it. Everything is so tidy, and that's not why I put on Exile on Main Street or Funhouse or, you know, something like that. I want to hear the stuff spilling over the side, you know, people in a room playing together, you know, with blood going through their veins. And so, yeah, I think that element is definitely missing. It's why I do not really buy a lot of new records right now, because people are too in love with the computer
and marketing.
Well, yeah, I think now you really have corporate rock bands. You know, the industry is really, the art used to dictate the industry. Now I think the industry dictates the art. And I think we've really come full circle now where there are corporate bands. I've been doing festivals for the last 2 weeks in Europe. And so I'm seeing everything from Andy DeFranco, who's great, to, you know, the big rock doodah band of the month. And we've been doing shows with Macy Gray. And without a doubt, in my mind, that is most diabolically lame, corporate, most propped up bullshit I have ever seen perpetrated on an audience of thousands on a night-to-night basis, and you can quote me on that. It is just so weak. She's got 8 million people on stage to prop up this zero talent thing, and the crowd just goes, except when the single comes on and everyone like some Pavlovian dogs. And we watch it, just every band is on the side of the stage watching it, like, we had to open for this? Huh. Wow. Sony really is Satan. Okay. So, I think like in any kind of music or any kind of culture, things go in a cycle. Things do get better, and they get worse, and there's a reaction to that, and people go, okay, it's time to kick Pink Floyd out of the way and put the Sex Pistols on. And you'll have somebody, just a whole bunch of people going, no. So I think there's some good music coming up.
But my last question regarding to this, but do you think that rock and roll today have a strength to make this circle, vice versa, Or do you think that rock and roll today is not what it used to be in the 70s and in the 80s, when basically rock and roll changed the industry?
I think that the purpose of music, because of the industry, has changed.
Yeah.
Rock and roll does not serve the same purpose as it did in the 50s as it does now. When Jerry Lee Lewis was doing something, I mean, people really did think you were going to go to hell by listening to that music, including him at different times of the year. Okay, no one thinks they're going to hell now because of the record. But if they do, a lot of other people look at them and go, plot loss. Okay, Marilyn Manson swinging upside down from a cross made of neon. Everyone goes, yay, and 18,000 tickets get sold. So that to me is mass acceptance. And that's filling a need. There's a lot of people who just go, well, I want to see the circus, and so I'll pay way too much money and go see that. And that'll last for a year, and then everyone will be diverted into something else. I think that kind of thing gives you more surface level entertainment, but it doesn't breed the new John Coltrane or the new Nat King Cole or the new, you know, Bob Dylan. You know, and I think different times dictate, you know, different needs in music. That's why the late 60s gave birth to a lot of great music in America, because young people were watching other young people go off to war and come back in boxes this big. And that's why you're going to get a band like the MC5 or Jimi Hendrix playing the American, you know, national anthem in such a way where you can like see the explosions. You know, that's a war-torn country and young people's reaction to it. These days, where I come from, I live in a consumer culture where everything is okay to do. Everything is okay to do. You can buy DVD porn on the internet. You can do whatever you want. You can download whatever you want. You can get away with pretty much near anything, and no one really seems to go to jail for doing anything wrong. And there's nothing really that seems to be wrong. And the music is also kind of lazy in that too. And I'm not saying that rock and roll needs to be a moralizing thing. I'd be getting out of that boat quickly. But there's certainly not a whole lot of need to want to stand up and be the next Joe Strummer, because all that's going to happen is some corny guy from a major label is going to try and overpay you and give you a record deal that'll last a year until everyone sees a shinier object in their peripheral, goes that way, and all of a sudden you're in shtuck. So I think what you'll see now is a lot of indie labels where bands who just have no interest in being on a major label, have no interest in MTV, have no interest in playing the 18,000 seater, will rise up and start playing some real soulful music.
They already did.
Yeah, this is already happening. You know,
Yeah,
you can go in any country, in any city in the world and hear a good band play. So when people go, oh, there's no good music anyway, their head is too far up their ass. You hear good music every day in the world. Any country, anywhere. You know. So.
Še dve vprašanje bi prosil, potem
One
končamo.
question from the left side. Your book is called The Solipsist. Do you really think of yourself as one?
I think at times, sure. So I think the human reaction to other humans can be at times solipsistic. When you're in traffic, you know you're the only person who knows how to drive, and everyone around you is a moron. You know this to be true, okay? And whenever you're in line, you always notice the guy ahead of you has no idea what to do at the post office, and you're the only person in the whole building who knows how to get a letter mail. But you're trapped in a world of mediocre dummies who keep you from getting over there. Okay, that's very solipsistic way to think. Like, this whole world is here to bedevil me, and I'm the only person who knows what's going on. And so what I wanted to do with that book is take that attitude and blow it up so huge that it becomes distorted. Like when you make a Xerox of a Xerox of a Xerox, you don't know what you started with. You started as a picture of your mother, and now it looks like a bear. Which is, you know, whatever drugs you're on. But anyway, that book was an exercise in distortion, exaggeration to make a point. Because I think in distortion and exaggeration, there's often a lot of clarity. It's like cartoons of, you know, politicians often look a lot more representative of them than actual photos.
Was there a particular reason why you included a Thin Lizzy cover on the last album?
A few different reasons. A, we like Thin Lizzy. We love the song. The band never put it on a studio record. It was only on 2 live albums. So we figured, well, won't we have a fun time being the first band to do a studio version of it? And since we're buddies with Scott Gorham, we'll do it, and we'll maybe see if Scott wants to play guitar on it, which he did. And we basically did it to be the first band to put it on a record studio-wise, and we made it as a kind of a present to Phil Lennon's mother, who's a friend of ours.
And probably playing with Wayne Kramer was a special issue for you and the band.
Sure. Well, I've known Wayne for about 18, 19 years, and Wayne also is our neighbor. He lives about 5 minutes from all of us. And so I just called him up on the phone. I said, Wayne, you want to come down and jam? He said, yeah, of course. And he just drove his amp down the back of his car, and we played. And then my guys played on one of his things. And then he just emailed me last night, we're going to be doing an MC5 song for this MC5 tribute record. So we see Wayne,
In a way, these two different guys, one from the mainstream rock scene and the other from the alternative rock scene. Is that a comment on the actual position of the band?
What, that we worked with Wayne Kramer and Scott Dorham?
Yeah.
No.
That's the best of two different worlds.
Well, I don't really see a whole lot of difference between Thin Lizzy and the MC5. The MC5 glorified themselves as being White Panthers, which is the most hilarious Caucasian idea of revolution, which even they cop to the bullshit of that. I just like the records. When they got political, I was like, ah, you go home from the riots. Real people go home to riots. So don't tell me about how you're a White Panther next. But they did make great rock and roll records and made great love songs, as did Thin Lizzy. And so those are the two bands. I have all the albums and all the bootlegs as well. And to me, that's where the first time I've ever used the answer is all rock and roll. But there you have it, in my opinion.
Cool, hvala vsem.
Can I ask you one personal question?
Sure, ask anything you want.
My girlfriend, she really admires the tattoo on the back. And I would like to ask you, what's what you feel about tattoos? What's your opinion about that?
Well, I got tattooed from ages 20 to 25. And I did it to basically customize my chassis so I didn't look anything like my father or any boss I ever had or any teacher I despised in school, which is often what young men and young people do. They use the surface to differentiate themselves when later on in life I learned you differentiate yourself by how you think. And so I hit the ripe age of 25 where everyone thinks they're a genius. And I went, idea, I don't need to put any of this stuff on me anymore, I can just think differently. And so I lost interest in tattoos, but I never regretted any. And to me it's just kind of a cool tribal customizing, like I said, of the chassis. It's like bitchin' racing stripes on an otherwise normal, freckled, pasty exterior.
Don't you think that lately they became just another fashion?
Sure. Yeah, when I was getting them, back in my day, it was hard to find a place to get tattooed. And you would go in there and everyone, oh my God, he's going to the tattoo place, he's going to buy some of them porno movies. And now, you have to wait in line behind Barbara Streisand. Sushi, cappuccino, piercing, tattooing, all in one shopping mall. So yeah, but like Burroughs said, everything's permitted, nothing's true, everything's permitted. Eventually, everything's okay. Everything eventually gets in. So, now, by the time my mom dies, she'll probably die with a Celtic weave around her and a pin hanging out of her mouth. Who knows? I mean, you look at people these days, you see the kids they have, those kids are going to grow up and look at their parents who have like these big things hanging out of their ears. And it'll be the first generation of kids who have parents who did way harder drugs than their kids will ever do. And the kids will grow up to be all pious. Father, when did you have sex? When I was 8, you little prick. They'll have track marks and bolts coming out of their heads, and the kids will all grow up to be, bankers.
No! Try again! No, you missed me! Go faster, motherfucker!
an animal just like you. Come on, animal.